You kneel down beside the wilting tomato plant, your fingers brushing the soil, and you murmur something you'd never say out loud to another human being. The neighbor's 70-year-old father, Sue James, does this every morning before the sun clears the fence line. He talks to his roses like they owe him money, and his roses respond with blooms so thick they hide the thorns. You've watched him from the kitchen window, coffee cup in hand, and you've wondered the same thing every gardener wonders when they see a patch of green that defies all logic. Is he crazy, or did he crack a code the rest of us missed? The official story, the one whispered in garden centers and printed on the back of fertilizer bags, is embarrassingly simple. Plants don't have ears. They don't have brains. They cannot hear your voice, understand your words, or care whether you're whispering sweet nothings or reciting the phone book. The myth, according to the debunkers, belongs in the same trash heap as playing Mozart to your basil or singing lullabies to your orchids. But here's the problem. That official story is incomplete. In 2007, a team at South Korea's National Institute of Agricultural Biotechnology published a paper that most gardeners have never heard of. They exposed rice plants to music played at 70 decibels, which is the volume of a normal conversation between two people standing 3 feet apart. Then they sequenced the genes. What they found was a quiet earthquake. 2 light response genes, RBRCS and ALD, had been activated by the sound waves, not by the words, not by the melody, but by the sheer physical pressure of sound hitting the leaf surface. The plants weren't listening, they were feeling. That single word, feeling, is the crack you needed. Subscribe so you can follow every layer of evidence as we peel this mystery open. And in the comments, tell me, what ordinary moment with a plant first made you suspect it could sense your presence? This is the first crack in the official story. The old gardener doesn't need to believe his plants understand him. He only needs to believe that his voice, moving through the air at the right frequency, triggers something inside the cell. And the science backs him up on that narrow, specific point. The vibration of human speech, roughly 50 to 500 hertz, falls directly in the range that plants have evolved to detect. They evolved this sensitivity not to eavesdrop on human conversations, but to sense wind changes, to feel the footsteps of approaching herbivores, to register the subtle tremor of a pollinator landing on a neighboring flower. You've probably done this yourself without thinking. You walk into your kitchen, see the peace lily drooping, and you say something stupid like, "Come on, girl, perk up." You don't mean it literally, but the sound of your voice, at 70 decibels, at roughly 200 hertz, hits those leaves like a gentle push. The plant's cells respond by increasing oxygen uptake. Polyamine levels, the compounds that drive growth and stress resistance, rise. The Royal Horticultural Society ran a month-long study where 10 gardeners read to tomato plants every single day. The read to plants grew larger than the silent controllers. And here is the detail that makes you lean in. The plants read to by female voices grew an average of 1 inch taller than those read to by men. 1 inch. Over 30 days. From voice alone. Now watch this. The old gardener's method is not random chatter. He does not stand there reciting poetry for 20 minutes. He kneels down, he looks at the leaf, he touches the soil with his thumb, and he says something specific. "You're thirsty, aren't you?" That's not a question. It's a diagnosis delivered out loud. The vibration hits the leaf. The carbon dioxide from his breath, exhaled directly into the plant's microclimate, adds a tiny measurable boost to photosynthesis. And here's the part most people miss. The act of saying it out loud forces him to observe. He cannot say, "You're thirsty," without first checking the soil moisture. He cannot say, "You need more sun," without noticing the leaf angle. The talking is not the magic. The talking is the mechanism that forces attention. And attention, as every gardener knows, is the real fertilizer. You still with me? Good. Because this next part is where the official story fights back hard. The skeptics have a point. Dr. Rich Marini, head of Penn State's horticulture department, put it plainly. There isn't a lot of research in this area, he said, but there is evidence that plants respond to sound. Notice the careful wording. Respond to sound, not understand speech. The difference matters. The Denver study, often cited in gardening magazines, found that the so-called social plant exposed to human speech grew 12.5% taller after 60 days, with greener, larger leaves than the silent control group. But the study also found that the effect disappeared when the speech was replaced with white noise at the same volume. The vibration alone wasn't enough. The pattern mattered. The irregular human cadence of conversation, the pauses, the breath, the shift in pitch, that random sequence created a stimulus that white noise could not replicate. This is where the old gardener's testimony and the lab science converge into something you can use tomorrow morning. Here's the trap. The failure case: if you blast your plants with loud noise for 3 hours every day, you will stunt them. A 2020 study on strawberries showed exactly this. Small doses of sound under an hour at conversational volume encouraged rigorous growth. But beyond 3 hours, the plants responded as if under chronic stress. Growth slowed. Immunity dropped. The vibration stopped being a signal and became a battering ram. The old gardener knows this intuitively. He doesn't shout at his garden. He doesn't put on headphones and lecture the cucumber vines for an hour. He spends 30 seconds per plant, maybe 60 for the ones that look troubled. Then he moves on. The dose, not the words, is the active ingredient. That is the difference between the gardener who gets results and the one who doesn't. Subscribe now to lock in this principle, because the next video will show you the exact minute-by-minute timing for 8 different kitchen scraps. And in the comments, share the one mistake you made with a plant that taught you the hard way about overdose. Some people hear this and think it's too much effort. You're not that person. You already know the difference between a plant that gets glanced at and a plant that gets looked at. So let's make this practical. Step 1. Walk out to your most struggling plant, the one with the yellow lower leaves and the stem that bends instead of stands. Kneel down. Don't stand over it. Kneel. Your face at leaf level changes the angle of your voice, sends the vibration directly across the leaf surface instead of downward into the soil. The South Korean study used speakers positioned at plant height, not above. Step 2. Say one sentence, not a paragraph, not a pep talk. One sentence that names what you see. Your leaves are yellowing at the bottom. That observation spoken aloud activates your own attention system. You will now notice whether the yellowing is uniform or patchy. You will check the drainage hole. You will feel the soil. The talking is training wheels for your observation muscle. Over time, you won't need to say it out loud, but at first, say it. Step 3. Wait 8 days. The Royal Horticultural Society study measured the difference after 30 days, but subtle changes in leaf color and stem firmness can appear within a week. The ESALC study on coffee grounds found the pH shift happened on day 8. The vibration effect follows a similar timeline. The plant does not respond instantly. It responds after enough cell cycles have passed to translate the signal into growth. Here's the part that changes everything. The most reliable growth factor is not the vibration. It is not the carbon dioxide. It is the fact that you are looking.
No.
The old gardener's
It
secret,
can't be.
the one the university studies keep bumping into but cannot fully prove, is that talking to plants ensures you notice the aphids on day 1 instead of day 10. It ensures you see the waterlogged soil before the roots rot. It ensures you catch the nitrogen deficiency while the leaf is still pale green, not crispy brown. The voice is the excuse. The looking is the real work. But here's where the scientist in you pushes back. Is there any solid evidence that the words themselves matter? The answer is no. Dr. Dominique Hess, a biophilia specialist, put it bluntly. Plants likely don't perceive sound the way we do. This effect may not stem from the words themselves, but rather from vibrations and sound levels. So if you feel ridiculous whispering affirmations to your basil, stop. Just talk. Talk about the weather. Talk about your day.
The forecast says
Read
it
the
will be sunny
newspaper
with a
aloud.
gentle breeze.
The content
Perfect
is
for growing
irrelevant.
strong and healthy.
The vibration is the messenger. For the 70-year-old gardener, this daily dialogue serves a second purpose that has nothing to do with plant growth and everything to do with his own survival. David Carr, a professor of geriatric medicine at Washington University, has studied the link between gardening and cognitive decline. His findings are stark. Gardening is associated with a reduced risk of dementia. Adding verbal interaction, talking to the plants out loud, creates what he calls a multi-sensory cognitive workout. The eyes scan the leaf. The hand touches the soil.
Feels cool and damp,
The voice
a rich mixture of
describes what is
soil
seen.
and compost.
3
Just the
sensory
right
channels
texture for the
engaged
seeds.
simultaneously,
You are so resilient.
reinforcing neural
Your
pathways that
roots
would
run deep
otherwise
now.
weaken with
I'm
age.
proud of you.
The old gardener is not maintaining the plants. The plants are maintaining him. You've probably felt it yourself. That quiet moment in the garden when your mind stops racing and your breath slows down. The reason is not mystical. The reason is physiological. The visual stimulation from real plants, the green wavelengths, the complex fractal patterns of leaf veins has been shown to induce physiological and psychological relaxation. The PMC study from 2021 measured heart rate variability and brainwave activity in adults exposed to live plants versus fake ones. The real plants dropped stress markers significantly. Now add
You
your
remind
own
me of
voice on
home.
top of that. The
Always
combination
growing,
is a
always
therapy
giving,
session
no
you
matter
didn't
what.
know you were paying for. At what point in this video did you realize you've been dismissing the old gardener as eccentric when he might have been the only one paying attention? Write it in the comments. I need to know how many of us were taught the same mistake. Here's where
here goes
most
nothing.
people quit. They try talking to their plants once, feel ridiculous, see no change in 3 days, and give up. But the Royal Horticultural Society study measured the effect over 30 days. The South Korean gene activation happened after repeated exposure. Patience is the mechanism. You are not looking for a visible reaction. You are looking for a cellular one. The plant does not nod back at you. It simply diverts more energy into the leaves, into the roots, into the bloom that will open 2 weeks earlier than last year. That 2-week head start is the proof you can't ignore. Subscribe so you don't miss the soil microbe strategy that multiplies this effect. It's the old gardener's next layer. And in the comments, tell me, what specific change in leaf color or growth will you check for after this video? Remember the ant invasion I warned you about earlier? No, this is a different failure trap. The failure trap here is the belief that because the mechanism is vibration, any vibration will do. A leaf blower running at 90 decibels is also vibration. Don't alarm. Passing truck. The difference is frequency and duration. The old gardener's voice sits in the sweet spot, 50 to 500 hertz, delivered in short, irregular bursts. A leaf blower is a sustained low-frequency drone that stresses the plant's cell wall. The difference between stimulation and damage is measured in hertz and minutes. The old gardener never uses power tools near his prized roses. He talks to them instead. The power tool is aggression. The voice is presence. Now imagine your tomato plant 3 mornings from now. You kneel down, you say one sentence about the yellowing leaf, and you notice a tiny green shoot emerging from the soil beside the main stem. That shoot was there yesterday, but you didn't see it because you weren't looking. The act of talking forced your eyes to scan. That shoot is a sucker that needs pruning or a new branch that will double your harvest. The difference between pruning it and leaving it is the difference between a good season and a great one. You caught it because you talked. The scientific reason the 70-year-old gardener's plants thrive is not that the plants understand English or Portuguese or any human language. It is not that the carbon dioxide from his breath feeds them significantly. It is not that he has a magic touch or a green thumb passed down through generations. The reason is monotonously mechanical. The vibrations from his voice, 50 to 500 hertz, 70 decibels, activate growth genes, RBCS and AL. They boost polyamine levels and oxygen uptake. And the act of talking ensures he pays closer attention, identifies issues sooner, and provides better care than the gardener who waters silently and walks away. The official story was right about one thing. Plants don't have ears. They don't have brains. They cannot hear your voice, but they can feel it. And that feeling, repeated daily with the patience of a man who has been doing this for 7 decades, is enough to tip the balance between a plant that survives and a plant that thrives. In the next video, we're going deeper into what happens when you combine vibration with the right soil microbes. The old gardener doesn't just talk to his plants. He also feeds them a specific kitchen scrap at a specific time of day. The result will change how you think about fertilizer forever.